Hey, what's up YouTube? My name's Meredith. I've been playing the violin since I was 9 years old, and today we are taking a look at the Kinglos Vive Violin in the neoclassical line. This violin is the Da Vinci coloring, but it's also available in Ocean Burst Flame Maple. At the time of filming, this violin goes for $648 US. Also at the time of filming, this model is the most expensive violin offered in the neoclassical line. So I want to talk today about why I like this violin and why I think it's worth that price. And if there's anything you want to jump to, there are time codes right here or down in the description of everything I'm going to be covering if you want to jump ahead. Otherwise, let's get started. I want to talk about some of my first impressions that I noticed with this violin. So to begin, the design. The design looked really cool online, and it looks even cooler to be holding it in person. And not only does it look cool, but it's made really well. This is handmade with solid maple and ebony fittings. And another thing I noticed is that not only can you use your own shoulder rest, but you can also switch out the chin rest if you desire. The next thing I'm going to talk about is my favorite thing about this violin. The fact that the body curves in like a guitar, unlike a traditional violin, it gives the user easy accessibility to the high notes and harmonics of the fingerboard. And again, this is my favorite thing about this violin. I'm going to quickly make a comment about the height of the violin. The height is very comparable to my violin, and just for reference, this is an old student Stainer reproduction from the 19th or mid-19th century, we believe. So when I did measure the height, the Vive is about 2 millimeters shorter, but that's really not noticeable to me. I like to check because some electric violins are significantly shorter, which causes neck pain for me personally, and I have to get a higher rest. So not a problem with this one, and I'm really glad. One thing I did notice though as I was playing is I would occasionally on the E string start to hit the body of the violin right here. And so when I took out my handy dandy tape measure once again, I did find that the width between the ribs of my acoustic violin and the ribs of this violin are actually the same, but the Vive starts to curve back out sooner. That's just something I noticed and something that I had to overcome on my own. The next thing I want to talk about is the back. You'll see there's this nice little hole there, so you can hold the violin without having to hold it on the neck, holding the body, or any other weird way that I'm holding it while I show you the violin. The last thing I'm going to comment on was the sound. When I first plugged this in, I could tell immediately that this violin sounded much fuller and richer in tone quality compared to other Kinglos neoclassical models currently offered. And that's without an effects pedal or anything. I could just tell immediately how much better this one sounded. But before I get more into the specifics about the sound, I want to wrap up my first impressions by reiterating that this is not a toy. This is not to be given to a child. This is like a real instrument. So anyway, let's move on. As always, that I state in every review, anytime you get new strings or an instrument that has brand new strings, they're going to stretch for a while and you're going to have to tune a lot more. I've had this instrument for about 6 months, so it was around for our nice cold winters of upstate New York through our nice heat waves and 100% humidity. And I haven't had any issues with the tuning. The pegs are really nice, they don't get stuck and they don't slip, which is great. And they include 4 fine tuners, 1 for each string. When we talk about the F-holes, the website will say how they're carved out, which is true. Just keep in mind it's not completely hollow like an acoustic violin because the electronics still need to be in there. But the way this works is that the pickup inside captures the vibration like an acoustic violin. And can we just talk about the pickup for a second? It actually has a pickup system from Shadow Electronics from Germany. So I believe the reason that the Vive sounds better is a combination of that German pickup system and the way that the violin is partially carved out to pick up those vibrations. The next thing I want to talk about are the controls that you have. You'll find on your right side that there is a control for tone and volume, which is really nice, at least in my opinion. I really like this placement instead of being on the back or non-existent. So I really like that I can quickly make adjustments while I'm playing. When it comes to plugging it in, you're actually plugging it on the left, so it's going to go over your left shoulder. It's really nice that it's a 1/4 inch, it's not an 1/8 inch or anything, so it works with all standard music cables. This is the very first violin that I got that has the cable going out the left side. I'm used to it coming out the right side. So I did have a mishap and step on the cable in band practice and drop the violin face first. I did have to tune it. There was some slight cosmetic damage, but otherwise everything still works. The last thing I'm going to mention about the electronics is the battery. Many electric violins use either a 9-volt or a series of AA batteries. This violin only needs a coin battery. It's nice and small and it's light. Keep in mind when you're checking the violins on Kinglos' website, the weights do not include the battery. So putting in this battery is not only effortless, but it also adds virtually no weight to the instrument. There's no on-off switch and there's no light indicating that the instrument's on. All you do is put in the battery, plug it in, and go. Alright, I've set up my guitar amp with the violin plugged into it to give you guys an idea of what this sounds like completely raw. Now keep in mind there's no effects pedal, there's no post-production, there's not even pitch correction. This is just what it sounds like on its own. So let's take a listen. So that's the demo of this violin for me. If you want to hear what it sounds like with layered effects and post-production, there's a link in the description of a demo done by Mia Asano, who is amazing by the way. I've seen her live. I also plan on releasing a yellow card medley later this year using the Vive Violin, so I will link that at the end of this video when that's been posted. To wrap up this demo, I'm just going to quickly show you guys how loud, or rather how quiet this Vive Violin is when it's not plugged in and you're just playing it for practice. Alright, I'm going to give you an overview of the other accessories that are included with the instrument. So first off, you're going to get a case. This is really nice because it keeps the instrument safe while shipping, but also I really like how much storage there is in here. Along with having the standard 2 bow holders, it also has Velcro to keep the instrument in place, but then it also has 2 compartments, which is great. So we got this one here where I like to put my shoulder rest, and one down here where I like to put other things like my tuner, rosin, etc. So I'm obsessed with how much space there is in this case and pretty much made it my default case when I'm traveling. In addition, you're going to find straps inside, and if you choose to put them on, it gives you the ability to also carry the case over one or both shoulders. I love this. I love that it was included. So while I love the case, just keep in mind I cannot comment on the long-term durability, but in the last 6 months, I've had no problems. Also in your case, you're going to find a 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch cable. It's 3 meters or about 10 feet, and it's what I used earlier in my demo. You can also find a shoulder rest that does fold, which is really nice. It's similar to my Kuhn rest, but it's not as high quality, but will do an emergency for me. In addition, it also comes with a bow. So I actually brought this bow to my teacher and asked her opinion, and she was actually pleasantly surprised at how nice the bow was, considering that it was just included with an instrument. The weight isn't perfect, but it's not that far off from what I'm used to using, which is the carbon fiber bow. To wrap up this video, I'm going to talk about who this instrument is for. As I mentioned earlier, I don't believe this is for beginners, and this is definitely not a toy, as it's a higher quality instrument. When it comes to picking out a violin, it really comes down to what you, the user, the player, wants in an instrument. So if you agreed with a lot of the features I talked about, then this instrument might be for you. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, this was not my first choice violin from the Kinglos neoclassical line, but as soon as I received the violins and I started playing them, I could tell that not only did this sound better, but it also feels better. So overall, this is my personal favorite. When it comes to a value of money, for me, the answer is yes, absolutely. Again, it comes down to what you, the violin player who wants an instrument. So I love this, it's my new favorite. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I love answering your questions and hearing from you guys. Otherwise, thanks for watching and keep on the lookout for more videos.